Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you all had a very nice weekend and managed to do something good for yourselves and for your soul. Today, I would like to touch upon a very important topic as far as I'm concerned, and that is the one regarding the contribution that public sector communicators can bring to their organizations. Earlier this week, I've come across, let's say, a submission from a colleague who had argued that there is no way they can increase the revenue of their public sector authority. I'm not aware whether they were working for a local authority or a local council or what type of government entity they were working for. And they said that the only contribution they can make to add to the revenue of that public sector authority was to try to increase the engagement with the citizens in the area or the catchment area that particular authority was working in, to try to minimize the cost of the marketing collateral, etc. And that suddenly made me realize that, unfortunately and sadly, our or my peers in the public sector do not understand the treasure they are sitting on. First and foremost, irrespective of where and who we work for, we have something that no other, I would argue, industry has. We have that creative ability to come up with what we would call creative solutions. That's number one. Number two, many of us are absolutely afraid or unwilling or terrified to go and sit down with the head of legal and the head of finance in the public authority because it's not my job. I'm not interested in it. Why should I do it? I create visuals, I create content, I create this, I create that. All that is beautiful. However, to make sure that what we do has an impact, that lovely acronym that we love to throw during award ceremonies and advice and campaigns called SMART objectives. We can never have a single tiny minor SMART objective without understanding, irrespective of the type of the organization we work for, how that organization makes money. In the case of a local authority, public service, civil servant, local government authority, because I would hope that it's not only my British colleagues who are going to be watching this video, but also my American colleagues and the colleagues from around the world. We need to go and sit down with the finance and legal people and say, could you please help me understand how we spend money? What is the top 10 expenditure lines, and what is it that we can do from a legal point of view to make more money? Because let's face it, ladies and gentlemen, many of the brilliant people who work in or for public sector, they may not have what we should have by trade, which is our ability to come up with creative solutions. So, for instance, I told this particular colleague I mentioned in the beginning of the video that the first thing we could do to support our public sector organizations is to help them cut costs. Now understand this, I'm not talking about cutting the costs of the comms department or of the internal comms department or whatever, because I would assume you would be the first one who would be able to understand whether there are any redundancies in your department, who you can do with and who you can do without. I am talking about where the bulk of the money is going. Once you understand that, you might be able, because I would assume many of you do not have just a mere PR background, many of you are extremely well qualified and educated, and you would be able to see outside the box. Is there another way that we can cut costs with this, with this, with this? There's absolutely no one, I'm almost certain, placing a gagging order on you to go and knock on the door of, I don't know, the local councilman, the CEO of the council, the director of the NHS, which is the health service for the non-British colleagues that you may be working for, etc., and say, hey, have you thought about this? Have you thought about optimizing that? That's part number one. Part number two that you need to think of is the following. Is there a way that you can support, legally support? That's why I said in the beginning of this video, go and speak with the head of legal of your organization. Is there a way you can support your public sector organization to make money? For instance, have you thought, I don't know if it's legal, I don't know if you're allowed, but you would be able to explore this. What happens if you start, I don't know, allowing a private entity to put some leaflets, flyers, or advertisement on the rubbish bins, the wheelie bins, the collection bins, the recycling bins? Are you allowed by law to do that by the terms and conditions of your local authority or the hospital you work in or the NHS structure? Yes or not? If you are, must then go and tell that to the CEO or to the person you report to and say, hey, we can bring some additional money to the budget. Money which would help us, this particular authority, to invest more in XYZ services, local services that actually matter. I suppose social care for every council or local authority around the world would be priority number one. Have you also thought about, let's co-sponsor when we have an event or when we gather signatures for something or when we want to launch a public conversation on a topic or another? Are we allowed, i.e., legal should be your best friends, are we allowed to help them to do this, to bring someone on board, to get someone to sponsor the lunch, to get someone to sponsor the room? Is there a way we can monetize what we have? Because at the end of the day, every single local authority, public authority, civil authority, if you want me to call it so, would need to demonstrate to the government, because after all, the money comes from taxpayers like me, like you, like many others, that you have gone above and beyond and you've done your best and you tried your best to support your employer to make money and to save money. So, can we please come out of our little corner of the world where we only speak comms, AI, marketing, films, leaflets, flyers, and switch our very brilliant brains, because I know so many of you are exceptionally bright and brilliant, and try to think business. Because if your local authority goes bankrupt, like we know some have already done so, you are going to be the first one to go, you and probably a large part of your department. You are going to be told that you failed to communicate, to engage, to bring the various stakeholders on board, blah, blah, blah. And you could have done more and you hadn't done so. You can do it. You have it all in you. Use your creativity outside the realm of public relations and communication. You would be amazed to see what you can do with it. Thank you. Let me know how you got on. Send me a message. You know where to find me. Send me an email, leave a comment on this video. And of course, if you liked it, please subscribe. This is crucial for all of us, for you to show what you're really, really made of. Thank you.